Well, hello, this is Peter Combs from Bitamount.com and P.O. Combs Asian Art in Gloucester, Massachusetts, and today is Friday, October 11th, and this is our weekly video, a weekly look back at last week's eBay and Katawiki auction results and ahead at what's coming up this week. There wasn't a lot on there this week, but there were a number of things that did pretty well, and there were a lot of things that we left out because we saw some really questionable things that had gotten bids. Unfortunately, they've closed. So I can't really show them now. There's no point in it except to say that be careful out there, as they say. We did the video yesterday. We put the video up for the auction results in Hong Kong. It was a mixed bag sale, but overall the prices were pretty good, and I think Sotheby's was quite successful overall. Certainly were. All right, so let's take a look and see how things did last week. All right, the first thing up is this ink decorated Chinese export tea caddy. It's rather nice with a heraldic shield in the middle and sort of an unusual form. These lobed forms that they did with the sort of nice, very European French finial on the top, and how did it do? It brought $430. These used to be very, very expensive, but again, Chinese export stuff has come down in price. So this that would have cost maybe $600 or $800 a number of years ago is about $400 these days. That's not bad. It's all good porcelain. If you can, if you want to buy nice porcelain and you like armorial, it's a relative bargain these days. And then on to this. This is a Cellar clay and brush over Italy. He's got this very nice Famille Rose vase that was up, beautifully decorated, nice soft colors, good shape, with pairings of Fu lions on the neck. I always like that. And this did pretty well. It brought $910. It had a little bit of a couple of nicks to it and maybe like an 8 centimeter or so hairline at the mouth. But other than that, it was in good condition, and it brought just a little under $1,000. Not too bad. And then over to this Republican period and 50s things continue to do very well. This was quite a nice vase. The decoration on this was very, very good, very finely done. Nice shading of the enamels. The pine trees were done beautifully. The architectural elements were done well. The hills, the mountains, all of it. This had good decoration on it. And the price at the end was pretty good, $3,744. This was an item that Grand Pip had up, but it was also a good size vase. It was just a hair under 17 inches tall. Good looking thing. And then moving along over to this Lac Brograt bowl. This is a lacquer with mother of pearl and typically a silver liner. And this was a bargain of the week. This was somebody got a heck of a nice buy on this. A bowl was in rather good condition overall. It was it was 12 centimeters wide, so about 4 inches in diameter, which is fairly typical for these. And look at this. It went for $154. All right, these bowls are always nearly always 18th century or late 17th century, and this was a nice one. In very good condition. Usually they've been dented and banged around and the lacquer's knocked off. This one I didn't see any problems with it other than perhaps some normal wear. And that was a very good buy. I thought this would have brought $250 to $350. But somebody got it. All right, leave a bid, always leave a bid. And then on to this 20th century Famille Rose figure on a horse. This was a nice thing. Not an extreme, probably made in the 30s or the 40s, but nicely done. Marked China on the bottom with the export stamp, of course. And the colors were good on this. The porcelain glazes were nice. The expressions were nice. And in the end, it did pretty well. It brought $1,913. But what was nice about this is I've seen many of these horses over the years, and the legs always seem to be broken on one of them or the tail knocked off, because all of those are real delicate pressure points. And this thing looked to be in quite good shape. And then on to this, the Ming Celadon bowl. It was a fairly common type, sort of a simple Celadon. But if you don't have the money to shell out for the one that sold at Sotheby's this week for $150,000, these nice old circular ones are good. Here's the back of it, very typical Ming dish. And there was actually a receipt with this one where somebody had bought it. And years ago over in Toronto, Canada, apparently they paid $2,800 for it. And somebody bought it this time around for $1,025, and that'll give you an idea of sometimes the difference between retail and the auction market. All right, And then over to this, another Celadon. This is a late 19th century one with impressed in its ice decoration, nicely glazed, but with a lotus bud in the center, a lotus pod in the center. And but these are nice. They made these fairly often. They turn up from time to time around here. And there's an image of the foot, that sort of grainy looking foot. It's been trimmed from the inside and so forth. There's another shot of it, slightly convex on the bottom, not unusual, pretty typical on these. And in the end, it did okay. It brought just about where they always land, in the $300 to $400 range, but good color, nicely decorated, and a good-looking thing. And I think it was about 9 inches, 10 inches wide. And then back to that panel that I liked. I thought this was terrific. Nice early 1800s, probably late 1700s, but very attractive, good-looking piece of lacquer, genuine and good size. And in the end, somebody got a nice buy, $209 for a lot of wall art. That will look wonderful, hung up somewhere. Okay, and as the seller mentioned, there's areas of wear and whatnot. But these are kind of fun. If you get old lacquer that has a few bits of damage, it's a great way to learn about how they make the stuff, because you can look inside a little bit and see how it's constructed. All right, and then this uncut robe. This was actually submitted to us before he put it up. He was wondering what we thought of it, and I thought it was just fine, and I think we said it would bring $1,000 or $1,500, somewhere around there. And in the end, that's what it brought, which is about right, because it hadn't been fully cut out and trimmed into a full robe yet. So it brought $1,226. Okay, now let's move over here. This big jar, this late 18th, early 19th century jar with the bosses of lions' heads running around the side for running loops. This was a pretty big pot. There's a picture of the bottom of it. Pretty typical for these. They can be late Qianlong or early 19th century. They're hard sometimes to date because they were made provincially. But this one was nicely decorated. I love the decoration on this. I thought it was very good, like that. I love those little scenes. And in the end, it did just fine. It brought $265. But this was a nice big pot. Really was. And on to this, the Pak Tong enameled hand warmer. I had mentioned these enameled hand warmers are rather unusual. The Fu lions on this were nicely done. I like the big broadleaf plants coming up and all the activity on it. Here's a picture of the bottom, just the way it should look. Occasionally they're stamped, but very, very rarely. And this did pretty well. In the end, it brought $991. Which is fine for that. It could have brought more. They've brought more in the past. I've seen some very similar ones bring $1,600 to $1,700, and I've seen them bring less. It's a very wide-ranging price point on these hand warmers. All right, and then over here, this was a pretty good buy. This was a nice Kangxi dish. This was something that the Antiques and Collectibles had, the Shangri-La dealers over in the Netherlands. And look at this. It went for $150. Not bad. That was a really good buy, actually. And it was overall in good condition. It had a small chip and some fritting, which all Kangxi pieces have on the rim, pretty much. It's hard to find a piece of Chinese blue or Kangxi blue and white that doesn't have a little fritting somewhere, especially on the corners. All right. Now, let's slip over here. This was another plate they had up. The same seller, Shangri-La, or the ceramics dealer over in the Netherlands, with the fish on it. And this is a well-known pattern. It was a pattern that started in the Ming Dynasty and was continued on. But this was a nice plate. I liked this. It was provincial. A little bit folky. The drawing was nice and loose on it. And in the end, how did it do? It brought just $86. All right. It had a hairline in the base, that kind of thing, but a nice, genuine early piece. He says it's Kangxi to Yongchen. I think it's purely Kangxi. I don't see it as being made in the Yongchen period, but maybe somebody could find a comp for it. But at any rate, it's a very nice plate, and $86 for a plate like that is a terrific buy. And then over here, this was the album of adult images, and I won't go through them all. Those of you that are interested in this kind of material can take your own look. It was fairly graphic, and there were a number of them. There were about a dozen in the album, and there is a big market for this stuff. And it ended up selling for $1,680. Erotic Chinese art and Japanese art. The prints were done in Japan, known as shunga. And they did a lot of them. There was a great fascination with it. They didn't have the sort of the prurient view of sex that they did in England at different times, or in the West, the United States. But people collected this kind of art and still do. And this one went for $1,680. It's a good old one. And then on to this, the tea caddy. This was a nice tea caddy. There's been a few tea caddies lately that have come up. This was a good one. Didn't have too much wear. Still had its original wooden feet. Hadn't been replaced with the brass ones yet. And in the end, it did fine. It brought $391. It was not quite as fine as the one that sold a couple of weeks ago, but the one a couple of weeks ago brought, I think, 3 times that. All right. But it was extremely fine. Okay. And then over here to the lantern, for the dragon lantern, he has it listed as Republic period. I think it's at the latest it's Republic period from what I can see. But it's a nice one, nice eggshell porcelain, very, very attractively painted, soft enamels. The dragons are well detailed. Let me see if we can zoom in a little bit here on some of this, like that. All right, there's the dragon. Nicely done. Good glossy glaze, very smooth and white. It's a pretty, pretty lantern. And it ended up doing fine. It brought $578, and it looked to be in good shape. All right, these pieces are often cracked. These big lamps, the bodies are often cracked. And also, always check them. Hold them up to light. Look from all sides. Look for a line running down them because they're very susceptible. And then over here to this pair of Noyonya Straits porcelain pink bowls. Very attractive little pair, simply painted, not one of the really elaborate sets, but very pretty pair, nice yellow and pink. And they brought $1,275. All right. And that was about it for the week. There were other things, a lot of other things, but none of them really, jumped as far as price goes. And these are some of the things that are coming up this week. That'll be in this week's newsletter. So if you haven't subscribed yet, come over to bitamount.com and subscribe to it. And give us a thumbs up if you like these videos. We're trying to build up our thumbs up ratio. And subscribe to on YouTube. Is this nice, very slightly clobbered 18th century plate. Appears to be probably Yongchen period, but very nicely done. Some clobbering can be really over the top. And if it's over the top, it has to be really great. And this is not over-the-top clobbering. This is lightly clobbered, and it just went up. It's got 8 days to go. The seller is Hazel Ford in the UK. She gets good things. She's not a big seller all the time, but we've seen her off and on of here over the last couple of years, and she always comes in with nice things. All right, and then over here to the painting. This is a nice 19th century fan painting. It's got the gold spickled ground, but beautifully painted. I love the way he did the faces of this young servant bringing the tray. And here you have the scholar with his tablet and an inkstone here, obviously an inkstone, and he's sitting out doing some reading and relaxing in the natural environment. And there's some script on one end. Just a nice looking fan, really nice. And it's up to $964. It closes in 3 days. I suspect it'll bring $2,000 or $3,000. But it's a good fan and well painted. Always look at these little fans up close, especially when they're figures, and see what they're doing. See if the details are good. See if the shading is good, like you see on this one around the rocks and so forth. It all plays a big part in their value. All right, and then over here, Clay and Brush, the fellow that had the vase at the beginning, has another one up, another nice late Qing Famille Rose vase with women all over it. And this is a good subject matter. This is a nice looking thing. And you've got a bunch of ladies outside on a terrace standing around looking at precious objects, and there's some books, and they're reading and practicing scholarly pursuits and that sort of thing. Just very nice, because a lot of people don't think of women in China as pursuing these things, and they did, especially in the Qing, in the latter part of the Qing dynasty, the way they did in the Tang dynasty. Women were very influential and very involved in the arts and so forth. But this has nicely done coloring, the fading, the shading around the faces of these are nice and soft. As I said last week, they don't look like they've been, sitting on a beach getting sunburned for a month, the way some of the later ones do. All right, but this is a good-looking vase. Here's a view into the mouth, and it's got 8 days to go. It's up to just $10. And this has a hairline somewhere about 8 centimeters also, but Nice looking vase. It's not a pair; it's a single, but nice looking vase. And then over here to this very pretty Famille Rose 19th century vase with a lotus mouth on it, lotus blossom mouth, which is sort of nice. You see these occasionally on these vases. This one has one. Here's a picture of the bottom, so forth. He's dated it as being a Dogwon period. It could be, but very late Dogwon period. I think of these typically as being more mid to late 19th century or so, but it's got a couple of days to go. It's only up to $19. This is Kangxi 0219 is the seller of this. He gets good things, but it doesn't sell that often on here, but when he does, he has nice things. And you might want to check that out in the newsletter this week. Now, this I'm going to put in the newsletter. I'm going to footnote it because this is listed as a Chinese, one of those Dutch plates that they were done in the China trade, the Dutch export plates for the Dutch market. This is not a Chinese one. This is a Japanese one, probably done in Arita. A lot of these were done in China, as we know, but they were also done in Japan later, slightly later. These were done in Japan, and the artwork is a bit different. And if you flip it over and take a look at the back of it, the back of this is very Japanese Arita. One of the tip-offs of Japanese Arita is the blue circle. There's only one circle. Chinese typically have two. And the Japanese in the 19th century and the late 18th century put the blue circle very close to the foot, way out. The Chinese pieces tend to put the circle sort of in the center. Occasionally they're further out, but a single circle close to the foot with that very smooth, rounded foot rim and this sort of sporadic decoration, it's Japanese, okay? And we're going to put it in the newsletter, but we're going to put a note with it saying this is a Japanese one. So if you're a Japanese porcelain collector, this could be a very good buy because the Chinese buyers aren't going to look at it and they're going to know that it's not Chinese. So give that a chase because that's a fairly rare dish from Japan as well. All right. And then over to this, another pair of these sort of mid to late 19th century Famille Rose vases. This is Wincool 007 has it. It's up to $918 with 6 days to go. But it's a pair, which makes them interesting, and people love pairs. All right, and then over on Catawiki is this, a very nice Wan Li plate. This is a good size one, as I recall. It's about 30 or 32 centimeters in diameter. It looks to be in quite good shape. How big is this? 31.2 centimeters, so it's over a foot. It's technically a charger, and it's only up to, let's see here, what's this up to? It's got no bids yet. It's got an opening bid of $800 on it. Which is pretty close, I think, to about what it's worth. But if you want to buy a Wan Li plate that doesn't need anything and is in good shape, you might want to check it out. And then over here is another one. This is a slightly smaller one. It's about 8 or 9 inches in diameter, but it's got a very nice dark, deep blue on it. And the panels are very well developed. I like the birds, one perched, one ascending, and then more birds in the background. And then you have these big roux head funguses coming down out of the top. Nice looking dish, okay? Let's see if we get a good look at it. There you go. There's the rim, shaped rim. And boy, they put a lot of pictures on this one. Look at that. You must have 30 pictures. There's the back of it. There's the back. That's what I wanted to show you. That's fine. That's a Chinese Wan Li example because they made these also in Japan. So sometimes they get mixed up. But this one's up to $131. Should bring $300 or $400, I would think. And then they also on Catawiki is this rather nice late Wan Li Kendi. Looks like a pretty good one to me. If you're a Kendi buyer, these were made obviously for the Southeast Asian market, mostly in this form. And it's got 8 days to go. It's only up to $3. It should obviously do much better. So you want to check that out. And then back over on eBay closing this weekend, or on Monday actually. Monday's a holiday, by the way. So if you're in a state that observes the holiday, bear that in mind. These are closing Monday. And this nice Yi-type crackle incense burner. I mentioned this last week. I thought this was a pretty nice one. Good-looking glaze, nice paste on it. It's up to $609, and I think it'll probably, go somewhere between $900 and $1,500 by the time it's all done. But a good-looking piece. I love those. And then this nice late Qing lotus bowl with the wave pattern and lohans and all kinds of birds. deer, spotted deer. This is a nice thing. This is actually a planter. Here's a picture of it. So they plugged the bottom of it, though. Here it is with the bottom plug. But this was a planter, sort of a low round planter. Nicely done. 19th to early 20th century, somewhere in there. And it's got 5 days to go. It's up to $397, but very pretty. That's a really pretty thing. I wouldn't be surprised to see that jump. And it's 38 centimeters in diameter, so it's pretty wide. It's 14 or so, 15 inches in diameter. So it's a good size basin. He should have put something in the picture to give you an idea beyond that pear. But there is a pear in there. There it is. So give you some idea. And that's a nice, I like that a lot. I think that's really pretty. And then there's a nice slab constructed square Chinese Amari Kangxi period tea caddy that's in there. It closes in a few days, closes Sunday. And there's that piece again. And this Femivair plate with the ladies on it. Year Out Antiques has this. It closes in a couple days. And it's a pretty nice looking dish. Nice looking Kangxi dish. Here's a picture of the back of it. Foot looks fine. Nice ivory glaze. The way the iron red here is sort of smashed on there, done quickly. Yep, looks fine. Okay, and those are the pieces that are coming up, and we are still working on the website, as we mentioned a couple weeks ago, and I just wanted to bring everybody an update. We've finished selecting the plugins we're going to be using, and we're testing them now to make sure they update and do the things they're supposed to do from the different sites that we're trying them on. And so far, everything's working fine, and we'll be doing a lot more with it probably at the end of next week, the week before, week after, and I'll tell you all about it when that comes. Okay, have a wonderful weekend. It's a long weekend, so if you get the long weekend, have a good time. We're hoping the weather here will improve. It's been stormy, northeasters here, windy, not much rain, but it's definitely changing the season. All right, see you all next time, and have a great weekend. Bye-bye.